Hello, welcome to the Combustion Energy Resource presentation. Michael, which is me, Benji, Sean, and Kevin will be discussing these following topics. Physics, the impact and benefits of the environment, economic and the social aspects of combustion, mainly associated with cars, especially the engine. In the physics portion, I'll be talking about how combustion occurs and how internal combustion engines utilize it. Environmental, Benji will be talking about the impacts and benefits of the combustion that has an effect on the environment. In the economical, Sean will be talking about the economic aspect of combustion, especially the advantages of ICE cars, or also known as the internal combustion engine. For social, Kevin will be talking about the social aspect of combustion, such as how combustion made people's life much easier, and how we can use combustion for vehicles. In the physics session, I'll be discussing about the physics behind the internal combustion engine. The vehicle uses an energy resource called fuel. Fuel stores up potential energy, and to release energy as an energy source, there needs to be a combustion reaction to occur. A mixture of oxygen and fuel will be able to cause this reaction, which will release heat energy. In the process of internal combustion, the mixture of fuel and oxygen will go through into a cylinder, then the valve closes. The piston inside of the cylinder will push the mixture of fuel and oxygen upward in the closed cylinder. That will cause pressure and increase of heat. A spark inside the cylinder will ignite the fuel and oxygen mixture, causing the mixture to expand. The pressure of heated gases will push the piston downward. Also, the piston would push up again to push out the exhaust gas through another valve. The piston would push downward, causing the whole process to happen again. The expanding combustion causes the piston to move up and down, meaning that the crankshaft rotates, which is connected to the drive shaft, and the drive shaft is responsible for turning the wheels, meaning that it will cause the car to move. There are two types of internal combustion engines in production, such as the spark ignition gasoline engine and the compression ignition diesel engine. In the spark ignition, the fuel is mixed with the air, then inducted into the cylinder. The piston would compress the mix, and the spark would ignite it, causing the compression reaction. A compression ignition diesel engine uses only air to be inducted into the engine, then compress. The compression ignition diesel engine will spray the fuel into the heated compressed air, causing it to ignite. There are multiple variant types of stroke engines, such as the commonly used two-stroke engine and the four-stroke engine, which has their advantages and disadvantages. The two-stroke engine uses two piston stroke movements to create energy. It takes one cycle for the two-stroke energy to create power because the exhaust and intake of the gas happen at the same time. The valve for the intake stroke opens and closes, which is caused by the changing of pressure. Here are some main steps that are a part of the two-stroke engine process. The first process is the compression stroke. This process happens when the inlet port opens up. The air-fuel mixture would enter the chamber, and piston will move it upward to compress the mixture. When the spark plug ignites the compressed fuel, the power stroke will start to happen. That leads to the next process, which is the power stroke. The power stroke will have the heated gas exerting high pressure of the piston, which would move the piston downward. The waste heat is exhausted. Compared to the four-stroke engine, the two-stroke engine is lighter, more efficient, more cost-effective, and can use lower-grade fuel, but the two-stroke engine lacked the maneuverability and needed more lubrication. In a four-stroke engine, one power stroke is two cycles of the piston. There are four processes of the four-stroke engine. The intake stroke makes the piston move downward, meaning it will increase the volume of the fuel-air mixture into the chamber. The compression stroke is when the intake valve is closed and the piston moves up the chamber to the top. This would result in compressing the fuel-air mixture. At the last moments of the process, a spark plug provides the compressed fuel with the activation energy required to make combustion occur. The power stroke is when the fuel reaches the end of its combustion. The heat released from combusting hydrocarbon increases the pressure, which will cause the gas to push down on the piston and create the power output. The exhaust stroke is when the piston reaches the bottom. The exhaust valve opens, meaning the remaining exhaust gas is pushed out by the piston as it moves back upwards. So I am done with my part of the presentation, and now we'll let Benji speak now.
Now let's take a look at the environmental aspects of combustion reactions. Let's start with the impacts. Unfortunately, combustion reactions are a major cause of global warming. Collectively, cars and trucks account to nearly one-fifth of all U.S. emissions, emitting around 24 pounds of carbon dioxide and other global warming gases for every gallon of gas. About 5 pounds comes from the extraction, production, and delivery of the fuel, while the great bulk of the heat-trapping emissions, more than 19 pounds per gallon, comes right out of the car's tailpipe. In total, the U.S. transportation sector, which includes cars, trucks, planes, trains, ships, and freight, produces nearly 30% of all U.S. global warming emissions, more than any other sector. Burning fossil fuels like gasoline and diesel releases carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. The buildup of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases like methane, nitrous oxide, and hydrofluorocarbons is causing the Earth's atmosphere to warm, resulting in changes to the climate we are already starting to see today. But not only do cars commit combustion reactions, cooking, cleaning, creating electricity, and many other things require combustion as well. These things are not much better than powering internal combustion cars. The effects can go from forest fires to boiling water. Either way, they would still release carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. You may be thinking, how does cooking affect the environment? Let me tell you. Think of how we cook. We cook in the oven, we cook on the stove, and even in microwaves. Each one of these can be tied to combustion, whether it be physically lighting a wood-burning stove or oven and cooking the food, or using an electric oven, stove, or microwave. For wood-burning ovens and stoves, it's pretty clear where the combustion is happening, right on the wood where you can see it burning. But for electric cooking machines, it may confuse you a little bit. Going into depth of how electricity is made using combustion would take hours, so here's a quick summary. Natural gases are burned in things called combustion turbines, where the gas expands through, becomes pressurized, and then spun around to produce mechanical power. This mechanical power is then converted into electric power through more generators found in combustion turbines. Many electrical companies will load up the turbines with exhaust to release hot gases created from the combustion process. This will release steam, boiling gases, and additional electricity into the atmosphere. With this explanation, we can easily conclude that creating electricity does not exhaust an equivalent amount of combustion and maybe more into the atmosphere. Although it may seem safer while you are using an electric stove or oven, it is just a chain of reactions that makes it appear safer to the environment than it actually is. Now, let's take a look at the benefits. Although it would be nice for combustion reactions to have multiple positive effects on the environment, most combustion reactions will only help the social and economic aspects while bringing down the environment. They might not be beneficial to the environment, combustion reactions, but there is an alternative that we can use so we can minimize the amount of combustion required. This would be to use battery-operated machines instead of combustion ones. Although they are not as efficient, they can lower the number of combustion reactions affecting the environment substantially. But with all good things, there's always a string attached: battery disposal. As batteries corrode, the chemicals soak into the soil and contaminate ground and surface water. This could lead to aquatic animals being severely injured or our tap water being contaminated by dangerous materials. Improperly disposed lithium batteries can be very unstable. Lithium batteries can cause landfill fires. As a result, the toxic chemicals released into the air negatively affect our breathing and contribute to global warming. The vaporized form of improperly exposed batteries also gets trapped in the atmosphere and pollutes lakes and streams in the form of rain. All in all, combustion can make us warm food, moving vehicles, electricity, and other beneficial things, but it will have a hard time benefiting the environment as much as it benefits us.
Combustion energy, along with the combustion engines that utilize it, have helped shape and progress human society to what it is today. Many of the mechanisms and machines we use today are all thanks to the creation of internal combustion engines, also known as ICE. Things such as airplanes, cars, and tractors all use internal combustion engines. One of the biggest impacts to society internal combustion engines have is the creation of ICE cars. The creation of cars has provided humans with many different benefits. Allowing for easier access to transportation for all kinds of distances affects both human life and how cities and society is structured. Being able to travel farther more reliably with cars can help people get certain resources easier. They can either travel to a store to buy their essential goods or order them and have someone deliver them to them. This makes it much easier for humans to survive no matter where they are living. The creation of cars also affects how cities and towns are planned and built. Instead of stores, restaurants, and shops being built in close proximity of the housing area of the community, they can instead be built farther away, since the average human could easily travel farther out with their car. This also makes it much easier for people to get jobs, since long-distance jobs are much more feasible to do, since you can just travel the long distance in a car. The creation of combustion engines was also one of the catalysts for the Industrial Revolution, which caused a widespread automation of everything. This era in history include many great advancements and inventions which helped develop human society forward. Combustion engines have also helped with the interconnectivity and relationships between families and relatives. Before, it used to be very hard for people to be close with their families and relatives because they either live in other towns, countries, or even continents. However, it is much easier today to visit and connect with them with the use of airplanes and cars. With airplanes and cars, it is also much easier for families and relatives to move to different countries and cities. This makes it much easier for people to live in close proximity with their friends and family, making a tighter bond and connection with them. Food and cooking greatly benefited from the introduction of combustion energy and engines. The majority of cooking and food utilizes heat and the burning of materials in order to create a tasty meal. Many kitchen appliances, such as ovens, use combustion energy in order to cook meals. This gives us humans the reliability to always be able to cook food as long as we have electrical energy to power our houses. Combustion energy is also used in many electric heaters for people's homes. This provides people with heat and warmth during times when it's cold, such as winter. Altogether, combustion energy and combustion engines help develop society forward and improve human life with greater transportation, cooking, heat, relationships, and automation.
Since the invention of the internal combustion engine, it has had a growing impact on the world's economy, from the manufacturing of vehicles to the mechanic repairing the engine, and even the farmer growing crops to make biodiesel fuel. One of the major economic impacts, possibly even the largest, is the manufacturing of cars. An internal combustion engine vehicle has 1,400 parts in its engine and transmission components, whereas its electric battery counterpart has only 200 components in its drivetrain system. This means it takes more time, work, and interaction with other industries to create an internal combustion engine vehicle, providing more work for employees and more business for other companies. If the automotive industry shifts away from internal combustion engines and more towards other designs, it would take 30% fewer hours and 50% less floor space to manufacture. Leading off of the last point, the internal combustion engine provides lots of employment across the globe. According to the European Commission, the automotive industry directly and indirectly employs about 13.8 million people across Europe. This represents 6.1% of European Union employment and 8.5% of the European Union's manufacturing employment. The VDA, a German association of the automotive industry, conducted a study that proposed a ban on internal combustion engine vehicles production and estimated that at least 620,000 jobs would be affected by the ban, more than 10% of German manufacturing employment. Even after all this other information, the most important part is still how this affects the average consumer. A compact internal combustion engine vehicle costs 44% less than its lithium-ion battery competitor, and a mid-size internal combustion engine vehicle costs 60% less than its lithium-ion battery competitor. The cost to purchase and drive an internal combustion engine vehicle is also predicted to decrease over the next 10 years. Now that the car has been purchased, the economic impacts are still not finished. Internal combustion engine vehicles might require more maintenance than an electric battery vehicle, but this is not just a drawback. It provides more work for repairmen and helps to employ lots of more skilled workers due to the significant increase of number of parts needed for the engine. Next, let's talk about the effects it has on other industries. The many parts required to manufacture an internal combustion engine means that it has a large effect on other manufacturing industries, such as steel, textiles, and chemicals, as well as some other small industries such as repair, mobility services, and machine tools industry. The internal combustion engine is a major part in keeping the fuel economy going. In the US, the federal government gives subsidies to ethanol and biodiesel production. In 2005, they were giving 20 cents per energy equivalent liter of ethanol and 29 cents per energy equivalent liter of biodiesel. Even the farming industry is affected by the internal combustion engine. Many internal combustion engines are fueled by biofuels made from corn and soybean. As of 2005, the United States were using 14.3% of their corn harvest and 1.5% of their soybean harvest to make biodiesel. If internal combustion engines were removed, the net farm income would decrease by approximately $27 billion. In conclusion, the internal combustion engine is something that has a very large impact on the economy and cannot be removed easily without causing major decreases in revenue and employment. From what we have discussed today, we can see that combustion has had many different impacts and benefits on the environment, social world, and economic state of our world today. Combustion can be used in ways to create different types of engines that we can use to make the wheels rotate to make our car move forward. Let's also reflect on the environmental aspects of combustion reactions. There are many different impacts on the environment. Barely any benefits, but there are alternatives. Every combustion reaction affects the environment in one way or another. Altogether, combustion energy and combustion engines help develop society forward and improve human life with greater transportation, cooking, heat, relationships, and automation. The economic impact of the internal combustion engine is very large and provides lots of jobs and revenue to many industries across the world. Thank you for listening to our presentation detailing the many benefits and impacts of combustion, energy, and engines. We all hope you have learned many new things today and hope you have come to appreciate what combustion has done for humanity.